The theme for this video is how did I transform the next boss altar into a nice looking base. Which is the third the third altar. It took me only 6 attempts to figure out a good looking form for this awesome place, which was almost fun. So I welcome you to the third installment of building a house for every boss altar. And remember to push that sub button if you wanna see even more interesting stuff. With that said, let's get building. Can you guess what was the first thing that I've done when getting into this build? And if you said level the ground, then you're correct. That's 2 freaking hours of my life that I will never get back. And after that joyful experience, I've decided to split the main build in 2 equal sides. By strategically placing a starting beam in the center of the teeth, I've started to make a small outline for the inside part. It will be 12 meters wide and 20 meters long, with 4 meters in the front and 2 in the back. The next step was to make a simple but a neat floor pattern. I left some squares open just to make a small chimney out of this thing's mouth. It looks small, but as I said at the beginning, I've tried a lot of shapes and this was the one that I fell in love with. After the floor was finished, placed some beams in order to make an outline for the skull. It looks something like this. This thing is missing its crucial part, the eyes, to be able to get that menacing stare. Next up was the chimney. You need to get that smoke out of the house somehow. A simple design, but it looks and works like a charm. And to finish the inner section, just fill up all the walls. And if you're like me, you will not want to see that hideous skull ever again. Now for the other section of the build. Grab an iron pole and place 6 of them around the perimeter. Just don't forget to place a layer below the first one, so it's touching the ground. And make it the same height as the skeleton's head. Then connect it all together. And add 10 beams pointing out from each corner. You'll see why in a sec. The swamp is a terrible place to be in, so I surrounded the whole base with stone, just in case. By the way, I'm a terrible stone builder. That's why I needed a wooden carcass to get this thing done. And for the cherry on top, I added one more layer and some pillars with stairs to the sides. That should do it for now. The build will have 4 sections, so we're adding 3 more, 1 to the back and 2 to the side. This one is the only one that has walls on the inside of the beams. Then, count 3 beams from the turning point and make a square for the last section. And bring the walls up to the same height as the main build. Don't forget to make entrances as well. One thing that I love to do is to place beams on the lower and the upper parts of the build to get a bit of depth. Just take a look, it's starting to get shape. Wait till you see the end results. Then made a staircase from the smallest compartment going up to the second floor. And an outline for the main build, so it seems more dynamic. And filled all of the second floor, but not the skull. We will get to it later. Then extended the chimney up for 8 more meters, so the roof will have more support. As for the walls, there will be 2 windows on each side of the build. 2 more in the front, and 2 small ones in the back as well. And 2 small balconies on each side. I'll spare you the whole thing and just show you some of it. Added poles to the closest compartment and connected it to the main build. And finally started placing a 26-degree roof. Planning things ahead isn't my strong side. After the roof was finished, I thought that the main wall needed some ventilation, so I made a small custom window. And by adding some planks and fences in the opening, something beautiful was born. And in this section, made some simple railings and decorated the pillars. As for the main part, I covered the skulls with cages and built a 6-meter wall around them. And just to mix the interior, added some dragon heads. Placed an outline on the walls and started filling up the missing roof. Make sure that 1 meter is pointing out, in the front and in the back to get that overhang. And one crucial part for the roof to look even better is adding a lot of beams all around it. You can place them as much as you want, to your taste. The only thing that is missing is the chimney. I wanted it to stick out a bit. That's why I covered it in dark wood beams and placed some small cages on top. I will add even more beams around the place, just to make it dynamic. Let's jump to the windows for now. For the back of the build, I've used work metal walls. Added a second layer of dark wood and placed the glass on the second layer, so it won't blend with the metal walls. As for the middle, an iron gate and some cages will keep the ghosts away from coming to visit you while you're asleep. As for the small balconies, I've expanded the frame to 7 meters on all of them. Made a small ledge and closed the corners with 4 beams. As well placed some railings. But before we close it off, need to extend the roof for now. I fell in love with the short overhang, and now I'm placing it everywhere. To make the place even safer, place some iron cages, but start from the top, so it doesn't stick out. Then, cover up all the rest, do it for all of the balconies. All that is left is to finish the last compartment. This will be fast and easy. I've made a 3 meter high carcass for the build, with some 6 meter gaps along the way, and started raising the roof with 26-degree beams. Then connected everything together. The only thing that is left is to fill out the roof. You will encounter a small problem on top, but by placing a second layer it will look even more interesting. The end result speaks out for itself. And all that remains is to fill the walls, but leaving some space for the windows. That we will cover up with metal bars, and getting rid of all the vertical wooden beams. So, before the grand show-off, there are 3 things remaining. A dormer for the second floor, a campfire that I placed inside the mouth, and some minor decoration here and there, like adding an extra wall, some beams and pillars on the sides, and don't forget my favorite, an extra layer of beams all around the main frame of the build. And the small arch type fence around the porch, nothing too shabby, just to keep the pests away. It took me a lot of time to make this, but I love how it turned out to be. Come on, let me show you how it looks on the inside. The walls turned out really nice. I was worried that they will look hideous, as it isn't my strong side. The yard's quite big. There's a lot of free space for any type of equipment and even a lot of room for future improvements. I really wanted to incorporate the skull in the main part of the build, so it feels like it belongs there. That's why I transformed the front part into a small but a cozy kitchen, with all the attachments that are available. I really enjoy small spaces over big ones. It's an interesting challenge to try and fit all of the stuff so it doesn't look like a junkyard. For the next compartment, I converted it to a storage/crafting room for the main crafting stations. And as for the staircase, there's not much happening here, as it is an open space and you don't want a lot of stuff be soaking wet from the rain. And this room is specifically made for the Mistland magical equipment. I might got a little bit carried away with some stations. It's just my vision of things, and to me it looks and feels more dynamic this way. The second floor's porch is my favorite. I almost flooded the whole room with saliva while placing the food on the tables. Wish I could attend to a feast like this. And of course, how can I be without a throne room? Don't know how I lived without one for all of this time. And the rest of the crafting station fitted perfectly in the small balconies that were made. Even one was left empty, so I placed a midnight snack here, just in case. And this is the bedroom. Here are all of our riches and a small armory with all the essential gear and weapons you need. And the best part is that the fire from below will provide you with the campfire buff, so you can get rested before your next journey. And on that note, this concludes this video. At first, I thought that this will be one hideous build, but it turned out even better than I imagined it to be. So thank you guys for watching and sticking around till the end. And I hope to see you in the next one.